Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to the weekly movie show with the boys Connor and Benny.
Hi there.
The emphasis, man, the emphasis. Well, we have an awesome show for you guys this week. Martin Scorsese officially hates the MCU and comic book movies. He's come back swinging for another batch of comments. We got to talk about it. We also got some Batman news. Zoe Kravitz set to play Catwoman. We're going to be talking all about that, plus some trailers, some crazy trailers. Get ready for trailer time later on because we got a bunch of stuff. And I'm going to be pitching the guys' question of the week this week a bit later on, just off the cuff.
Off the cuff. Crazy, man.
Yeah, getting wild. Getting wild, but as we always like to do before we get into the news, let's catch up on what everyone's been watching. I'm going to go first and just say I haven't watched anything other than El Camino, and Benny and I have an episode up on that. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to pass the buck to Connor.
Yeah, I don't have much more than you. This is a weird one. My niece is obsessed with the new remake of Annie. I don't know if either of you watched Annie as a kid.
Negative.
Is it Jamie Foxx in the
Jamie Foxx and the young girl is, I cannot pronounce her name to save my absolute life.
I mean, you couldn't have gotten Jamie Foxx's either, so.
Well, yeah, good point. I can at least pronounce it. So I ended up watching Annie, which
so the most recent remake.
The most recent one, yeah. Which I've got to say was actually pretty good, especially like the first half was a really solid. And I'm not one that's usually from musicals.
Your niece's joy got to you, man.
I know, right? She was singing along with it as well. She's like 2 years old, 2.5 years old. And like she just like scream every third word. It was fucking cute. But yeah, like I watched the original when I was a kid. So it was just interesting to see how it had been adapted. One thing I have noticed, particularly with the new Disney film or live actions that have been coming out, but now kind of reinforced by this, which is that each of these musicals or each these kind of reinterpretations have a couple of new songs in them. They want to like put their own little spin on it, and I just don't know whether it is nostalgia or whether it is that these new songs are just genuinely not as good. But it's a common theme throughout all these films, which is just that the new interpreted, songs, or the new songs for these films, they just don't feel like they belong. And I don't have any actual like real nostalgia for any. Like I watched it as a kid, but it wasn't like really ingrained in my childhood or anything. And a lot of the new songs just kind of fell a little bit flat.
It's annoying, isn't it? When you want to like be like, this isn't as good as but then you're always just going to be people like, and maybe rightly so, oh, you just like the original one. Like, I can't argue against that.
I like Speechless in the latest Aladdin.
See, I thought that's exactly what I was thinking of. I think that song's terrible. I think that whole moment's terrible. But I think most of that movie's terrible. So anyway.
Yeah.
That's one of the best moments in that movie. What a tune.
I also, I talked about watching seasons 1 to 3 of Community last week, and I was going to wait until I had watched 4 to 6 to talk about it. But I finished up for couple of days ago, and I feel as though I need to at least mention its passing, because it's not as bad as a lot of people say, but it is pretty bad. And it was super disappointing to watch this show become like a parody of itself, and not in a funny way. There was I say in air quotes, like a self-aware line that came towards the end of the season, which is, I think it was Abed or someone said, "Oh, this used to be a show about a community college," because the whole season takes place kind of outside the normal setting of the rest of the series, and I kind of agreed with them, but not in the kind of tongue-in-cheek way that they were meaning it, as in like, isn't it fun that we're expanding our horizons? I was like, yeah, like you've just kind of made this ridiculous, and it's no longer about the community college that made this show really great.
It's like, don't point out my criticism of your show and try to own it.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be ashamed of that.
which is something that Dan Harmon is very good good at. Ironically, he wasn't involved in that season. Oh, it was 4 that he wasn't involved in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he has made a couple of comments about you can't shoot me through the hole that I already shot myself in.
Yeah.
And to you, Dan Harmon, I say, yes, you can. But yeah, to the people that say it's the worst thing on the planet, it's not. It still has, in the characters, there is still a lot of love and laughter to be found.
And it still has further depths to sink to.
Well, exactly. Because I am about 3 episodes into season 5. And this is kind of where I stopped watching. Maybe like a little bit, halfway through season 4-ish. So, yeah, season 4 just ended up, it was better than most people thought, or the worst of the reviews. It was worse than the best of the reviews. And yeah, just overall, 3 episodes into season 5, and it's like noticeably worse. Season 5 takes a big dip.
And that's
from
when
season
Harmon came
4.
back, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is when everyone's like, oh, the show is saved. Can you imagine really being in the thick of it and thinking the show was back up to its normal standard and being given season 5? Ugh, that's a rough ride. So yeah, my fiance was literally like, oh, maybe we should just stop here.
Smart woman.
Save ourselves some heartache. And I was like, no, I'm going to complete this.
Masochist.
Yeah. So that's what I watched.
Fun. All right. I checked out the new film Hustlers, directed
J-Lo.
by Lorraine Scafaria. Jennifer Lopez, her big return to film, and the main star of the film, Constance Wu from TV's Fresh Off the Boat. It's that movie you've probably heard about, true story about a bunch of strippers in New York 5-10 years ago who were ripping off Wall Street CEOs and stockbrokers just by kind of drugging them essentially and charging their cards like crazy. It's in its story and its construction and its direction, in a lot of ways, it's like Goodfellas with strippers, which I think is a pretty good recommendation. And it was a pretty damn good movie as well.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I had heard some reviews come back for it saying it was very mediocre.
Oh no, it's not mind blowing, but it's been pretty well received by everyone. I think $20 million budget as well. It's up to $120 million worldwide, so
That's cool.
I think it's going to be a bit of a trendsetter as well. It's really, in a lot of ways, it's kind of a bit paint by numbers, but then it also has these moments where it'll do some really interesting stylistic stuff that plays with the form that I like a lot. Like there's a moment where Constance Wu's main character is talking to Julia Stiles' interviewer, like on a tape recorder about the whole thing, and the interview goes south, and she like turns off the recorder, and the sound just drops out of the entire movie.
Oh, that's cool.
And while the recorder's off in the audience, you don't hear anything that they're talking about. And I'm like, that's really interesting, kind of stylistic
Nice audio
thing.
there.
So yeah, I recommend that one if you have any interest in the true story. And Jennifer Lopez at 50 years old is killing it. She's really terrific in the film.
Nice
Awesome.
one. I really want to watch The Cell. That one she was in the 90s. I don't know, like I don't really want to watch Hustlers. I don't know, man. I've got a soft spot for that movie, but
Okay.
yeah, she's still like, she looks amazing for her age. She's it's pretty cool to see.
Also, Cardi B is in it. I feel like that got a lot of publicity. She's literally in it for 2 minutes at the beginning.
Right.
So don't take
Cardi
that
B
anyway.
I think she was the one that actually came out and said that she was doing that for real.
Oh yeah.
Like she was, because she
Before
used to
her
be a
current
stripper.
music career, yeah.
She used to be a stripper, and she just came out, and she was like, I used to like drug people and take their money, and it was this weird moment where they're like the collective, just populace was like, I'm not sure how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Is that empowering?
Yeah,
is that just like a?
Is that crime?
Is that
That's
really
Cardi
not okay?
B.
Yeah. And I feel like she
doesn't
just got this
pay.
like weird like pass on it, and everyone's like, "Oh, Cardi," and I was like, "No, that's all right."
Shall we get on to some news?
Let's get on to some
Let's
news.
do it.
So the internet began tearing itself apart last week, as it is wont to do,
Vortex of Doom.
unsurprisingly, because Martin Scorsese said some shit about our precious MCU. And
Got
people
some
got
beef.
very up in arms about that. So being a mature adult that he is, he's doubled down on these comments and really come out to clarify just how much he doesn't like the MCU. I've got a quote here. The value of a film that's like a theme park film, for example, the Marvel type pictures where the theaters become amusement parks, that's a different experience. As I was saying earlier, it's not cinema, it's something else. Whether you go for that or not, it's something else and we shouldn't be invaded by it. And so that's a big issue. And we need the theater owners to step up for that to allow theaters to show films that are narrative films. So he's coming out, he's saying a lot of, he's talking a lot of smack against the MCU here.
Yeah, massive.
I mean, if you can call that smack, it sounds like a senile old man just being like, "It's crazy to the film, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because I just feel like he's picking the most popular target here, and it's a real bad move, because if he'd come out and said exactly the stuff he has said so far about Gemini Man, which has come out this week and is not doing well critically, commercially, or anything, I feel like everyone would kind of be like, yeah, fuck yes, Scorsese, you're right, we need less of that. But he's picked the really successful blockbusters that everyone really likes.
Yeah.
But so last week, I kind of agreed with him of like, I've got a sort of internal definition of cinema versus a movie.
Totally, yeah.
And
Everyone does that.
And across that spectrum, that those two polar opposites, there's a lot of gray area. You could say a lot of different films can fit somewhere in the middle, closer to one side or the other. Anyway, so I kind of was like, yeah, we categorize genres in different ways. We categorize films in other ways. I get what you're saying. And in this week with these comments, I just feel as though he's really not taking into consideration the market dictates what you program. It's not like, what is he saying here? We need the
cinema
theater
owners
owners to
stand
step up for that, to allow theaters to show films that are narrative films. I think like he is very unaware of how much that industry is reducing, how much their penny, like people,
I love how
there's those
he
bumps
wants
in the seats. So I was like, what is your argument here? What are you saying?
I love how he wants an industry that is already struggling and being beset upon by other platforms to now potentially take more of a loss in order to give him more airtime or something. Like it is not only is it wildly out of touch, but I also think that I stick by the comments that I made last time. It is as I guess I'm not right. I don't want to say pathetic because it's not quite that. It's as annoying as listening to someone talk about how one particular genre of music isn't actually music. Yeah. And it's one of those things where you're just like, can you just fuck off already? Like, people get different things out of music, and to you get some kind of classical snob that comes up and goes to a metalhead and says, well, what you listen to isn't music, because it's not what I like, or it doesn't have the some complexities that I feel like classical music has. It's just one of those things that is so out of touch, and it just doesn't. It kind of betrays this elitism.
But I'm kind of okay with him like classifying genres in different ways. I'm not okay with him saying we need theater owners to step up. I think that's really, I just think it's so out of touch.
Speaking as someone who works in a cinema, we put on so-called narrative films, as he puts them. They don't do business.
No.
Like, if we want to stay open and keep being able to put those on, we need all of these Marvel things to keep the place afloat. Again, I really do think there is kernel of merit somewhere in what he's saying, but it's so misdirected at the blockbusters that all of us, to varying degrees, and with differing results from film to film, but would agree are among the top caliber of blockbuster filmmaking. Like, it's a very odd target to pick. You really get the sense he doesn't watch many of any of these movies.
Yeah.
And also that one comment he makes at the end there, where he does say that they need to show films that are narrative films. That's like the most insulting thing he said. Like, first he was saying they aren't cinema. Like, that's, you kind of get what he means by that. But where he's just saying they're not narrative films, they're just theme parks. Like, that's really bizarre.
You're getting some of the most satisfying payoffs out of any film, TV, whatever that you're getting in the MCU. Like with Endgame, I was getting so much satisfaction out of the narrative in certain parts. So it seems... I've been thinking recently, like, you know how your grandparents love classical music or like big band music or whatever. I've been thinking recently, like that's what metal's going to be. Metal is going to go completely out of vogue, and there's going to be these weird guitar things that people are going to be playing on some orb, like 2050s, like check out my orb core or something, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, and like this is exactly what Scorsese is. He's of a different generation. You know, he really cares about film, and he has a huge input in restoration of films and archiving of films. So, you know, you have to take that into consideration. But it's just swinging the bat a little too hard on something that I don't really know what his outcome is here.
He should be using his position to promote the great films that are being made nowadays that aren't getting the attention that the MCU is, because there is enough of a spotlight shone on all of this, and all of this squabbling is pretty silly.
I feel like what also might be happening is that he is stating something that is so obvious that people are missing the point. He might just be saying that, you know, Infinity War isn't The Lighthouse, which is so self-evident to people that maybe that's the point he's making. Maybe, you know, we're trying to make.
I feel like he's more saying Infinity War isn't The Irishman.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if he's going to keep going with this.
I hope he keeps digging, because it's getting more interesting.
Because I mean, at least Spielberg had the good sense to stop after he went after Netflix, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you're losing on this one there."
Because he's obviously heard over the week. He's obviously heard all the bubble up in the press, and he doesn't really give a fuck.
It does feel like a weird time in film, I don't know, criticism and appreciation where, like, I don't know, I feel like a little while ago even, this argument would be so much more weighted towards Scorsese. Like, we've created these just mega communities of fans that are so powerful and intense now.
Yeah, it's so intense.
Yeah.
And the
Well,
niches within niches of fan bases, you know?
Yeah, and I think it is because he went after the MCU specifically, which is kind of transcended blockbuster. Like, it adds something more than just your average blockbuster, right? Because and you know, it is kind of the trope of like, oh, it's a shared universe and everyone's trying to do it now. But I do feel as though that has added a certain level of complexity. Like, they can tell, you know, the MCU can tell stories now that a single film can't tell. It's just a different kind of storytelling. So it's
Yeah, fuck you, Martin. Nah, love you, bro. Love you.
Anyway, next up, talking about intense, the biggest film in the world right now is, of course, Joker. Still killing it at the box office, earned another $55 million this week, just in America alone. It's past $500 million. It is going very strong.
Do we think that it'll hit the billion mark?
I mean, it's very in vogue. Like, I think it will hang around for a little while. And if this week's, you know, Gemini Man and what have you prove anything, it's there's not much competition facing it. But anyway,
And it's all softening up as well. You know, it's like, I think most of, you know, the whole incel thing's like really bubbled down, and everyone's like,
well, because nothing happened, and everyone's like,
it's safe to go to the theater now.
Well, you know, now it's safe, and the consensus is that it's not promoting XYZ. Everyone's kind of aware of that now. So I think a lot of people who maybe in the whole lead up weren't going to go see it are going to go see it.
And maybe some of the sense has prevailed of people like us saying it's just a film. You're allowed to go see it and form your own opinion on it.
Which moves on quite nicely to the next part of this, which is...
let's talk about its Oscar chances.
Yeah. And so there's actually a few quotes from, anonymous Oscar voters, people that actually make these kinds of decisions. And the, I guess, varied response I found really interesting, because it goes from people being like, this is quite a good film, to like raving on Joaquin Phoenix, to people that just outright refuse to see this film. One person said that they will not watch this because they don't enjoy comic book films. And if that's the kind of caliber of people that are voting on the Oscars that don't understand what this movie is, like, watch a trailer. It's not a comic book
Why
film.
is somebody so closed-minded judging a creative...
It's wild, isn't it?
Pursuit. I just that just blows my mind. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
But it does strike an interesting chord that this is in Oscar contention, because I think there are people that one of the more interesting quotes that I saw, and this kind of mirrored my own feelings, which is that he said, I was profoundly disturbed by the film. I don't think he said that he liked it, but it was so interesting, and it was so, like it evoked such a strong response from him that he felt no other choice but to, like, he'll probably have to nominate it or something, or at least give it serious thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, it won the Golden Lion at Venice, which is like no small deal. The last 3 at least or so have all been in Best Picture contention, if not winners.
I don't think we ever really talked about this, even in the review, but do you guys think that it deserved to win that award? Like, what was it up against?
Not sure. But listen,
I don't think we've seen any other films.
I
from
think
Venice.
more so Joker winning Best Picture or Best Director. I think that Joaquin definitely, I wouldn't say in the bag, but
he deserves.
He's up there.
Seems like a nomination's a lock.
Yeah.
And he's never won Best Actor. Yeah, I think he's been nominated like 3 times.
He could be one of those, he's been around a while.
That was Leonardo DiCaprio was, had been around for ages
before he gets
and felt that if he was one of those guys that you would have almost bet your house on the fact that he had an Oscar.
Now, we haven't talked about this yet, but Joaquin was recently talking about how just his process of crafting this film and his character and how much he loved it and how much he'd like to kind of get back in the saddle with Todd Phillips and revisit it. Do you guys have any interest in seeing them do that?
No.
In any sense, like in a standalone Joker universe or in a Batman crossover?
I really think they should leave it at that.
Where
do you go with it? What's interesting about that whole film is the creation of the Joker and the fully formed Joaquin Joker. Is there an interesting story to tell with that character? Potentially, if you use it in the same way as you do Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, where he's an enemy of Batman, but Joker 2, where he is the quote unquote protagonist or quote unquote the main vehicle or the main character of the piece. I don't know. Maybe
how do you do a character piece like 2.0? It would have to be, you'd have to find a different vehicle, right? And I don't know that could sustain another film.
With the right creative mind, maybe you can make it work. But my initial gut instinct says just leave it, man.
I think depending on how the next 6 months go, I reckon Warner Brothers is absolutely going to look into any avenue they possibly can to continue this money train, this hype train. And I really think that their new Batman universe, which all signs point it to being kind of its own thing at this point, I think they would definitely be looking into trying to incorporate this somehow.
Well, look, I think on the bright side, we all know how good Todd Phillips is with sequels, so I say give it a go.
Say boot him immediately. He's out.
Exact same movie, but he is in a psychiatric ward. He's in Arkham Asylum. It's exactly the same. But does that mean, do we have enough runway here to say Joaquin's Joker turns up in the Batman 2?
I hope he doesn't. I mean, I really hope that this is its own thing.
Because I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, like my first thought coming out of Joker, it being a little more tied into the Batman mythos than I expected, was, wow, they are probably going to try and tie this in, and I think I would be pretty goddamn hyped if there's an end credit scene and suddenly Joaquin Phoenix shows up as the Joker.
Can I just point out something that it didn't really bug me in the film because it really wasn't about that. But
no spoilers.
Is this a spoiler?
He does.
If you got to think about it. If you got to think about it that hard.
Yeah, it's a spoiler.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Is it the super rats? It's the super rats, isn't
it? it's just about age differences. But
would you be? Would you guys? Because I have less of a problem. I have more of a problem with Joker 2 than him being more incorporated into the Batman mythos.
Yeah, me too.
If they go Joker 2 route, I think that's probably a dangerous path.
I would prefer Joker in the Batman to just another Joker film. I think,
yeah, I could totally see him as a supporting player in in that universe. I think that could be interesting.
Yep.
But no, I know what you're saying, Connor, and it's not a spoiler. Bruce Wayne is a young boy in Joker.
Yeah.
He's in
I
the
was just trying to
trailers.
think
He's
of
in the trailers.
Oh,
Yeah.
he is in the trailers. All right. Yeah, we're all good.
So there's
that's weird, right? Like
I think Joaquin Phoenix's character is definitely a lot younger
then he
than
looks.
Joaquin Phoenix is.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what they're kind of going
But
for.
he doesn't look particularly young in that film.
No, he looks about.
So I mean,
but his mum, what is his mum looked about? You could range between 55 and 70.
that's a rough 55.
Yeah, but she's pretty worn down.
So yeah, I think
Is that the term for it?
Not generally, but okay.
the Joker not having to ever really be a physical match for Batman, I think that could make it work. He's going to be covered in makeup the whole time. You just be like that would be the least of their issues in doing this if the parties involved expressed interest, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Matt Reeves as the Batman, casting is really starting to ramp up for this one.
It is, yeah.
We had Jonah Hill recently mentioned for the Riddler, and now officially we have Zoe Kravitz playing Selina Kyle, Catwoman.
I just want to say that was a really nice segue, man.
That's my best one ever. I'm never going to try it again.
I'm going to say top 3. Not best, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what the other ones are.
Let's delve into the archives.
I think that was 2 good segues in a row. Anyway, so this is, I think it's a great casting. She feels like a very Eartha Kitt kind of 60s,
She does, doesn't she?
60s Batman vibe. And I think she's a good match for
Pattinson.
vampire guy.
Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. Yeah.
What have you guys seen her in? I've seen her in Divergent, and there was a cool little indie flick that I watched
Mad Max.
not too long ago on the plane.
She was in Mad Max, right? Yeah.
I'll find the name of it now, but she was quite good in that. She sort of had that. Can you trust her? Can you not trust her? That Catwoman.
Are you
definitely
saying that
has to
Zoe
evoke.
Kravitz looks shifty?
She was
No,
in
when she acted shifty.
She was in X-Men First Class. She had a terrible role in that, but she was fine. And she was in a cool sci-fi one last year called Kin. She had a lead role in that, which she was really good in.
I think it was Gemini.
Does that
The
mean
film
that
Gemini?
Never heard of it.
No, she was great. Little indie flick set in LA, kind of like a murder mystery.
Does that mean that Jason Momoa is technically her stepdad?
Which
Weird.
Yeah, if they can get like a Justice League thing going, it would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be real weird.
I think I read today apparently that she also dated Ezra Miller briefly, so it's just going to be a whole big
this whole
fun reunion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we're all on board with Zoe Kravitz. How is everyone feeling about the Batman in general?
I'm very excited and very interested. I love Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
That was very concise. Nice.
I am approaching it with a fairly healthy amount of skepticism. Pattinson just does not feel like Batman to me, but
I think we need to see something new, something fresh.
we do. I don't know if that's the way that I would have probably gone. But you know,
People
I'm
said the same thing
more
about
than
Heath Ledger with the Joker. You know,
I'm more than willing to allow him to surprise me effectively. The timing of it also kind of rubs me the wrong way. It's just like so soon after we had Affleck, which was in its own way so soon after we had Bale. You know, one of the refreshing things about The Dark Knight was that, Batman Begins, was that we had a little bit of time to breathe. There's lots of animated shows and that kind of thing, but it felt like there was a significant gap between.
What's it, 7 years? 1997 from Clooney?
Was Clooney 97?
Batman and Robin.
Oh, wow.
Got that?
Yeah. So at least like a good almost
2004.
decade,
Yeah.
right? To kind of cleanse the palate and then come into with something new, a little bit of a grittier approach to Batman. But that I just
And
kind
an
of,
origin story that we'd never seen on the big
Yeah.
screen. He was always fully formed Batman.
Yeah. And so this
So something fresh.
has really just kind of is starting to throw me a little bit. And I mean, it's different. Like, a lot of people have said, you know, you'd get superhero fatigue from Marvel, which I think is a bit different because that's a continuous story. You've got evolution, you've got movement, it's all cohesive. Whereas I'm starting to feel with DC is they're just throwing whatever they can at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's exactly what they do.
I think enough time has passed that we can make a ruling on Batfleck, and I think that whole thing was a disaster from start to finish. So I think the world is ready for a fresh start to have some respect for this character again.
I wish they had given it more time. You know, like I wish I wish the Batfleck movie that he was going to direct and write came out. I think this is probably going to be a better movie, but I just think how much I love the town, and I was just so excited to see Ben Affleck with that kind of hat on.
That excited me.
That will always be like a curiosity, like a movie like Superman Lives. And I'm like, man, I wish I could see what that would be.
Yeah.
But the way, the amount, the degree to which they had fucked it up continually, I think it was actually, this is going to sound very ridiculous, but brave of them to just say, no, fuck it. We're going to continue with the characters that work. This one is not happening. We're going to start fresh.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But I have that much faith and love for Matt Reeves that I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to getting a trailer sometime soon. Probably next? I might watch something then.
Just because we haven't
have
mentioned
they started? They wouldn't have even started filming yet.
No.
So I mean,
so what's this? 2021, 2022?
Yeah. So they're talking about trailers. I was freaking out. I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen nothing, nor will we. 2021.
Remember the Batman vs Superman trailer came out like 21 months in advance or something?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That's how you got to do it, man.
All right. Next up, we got a bit more box office news. I alluded earlier to the fact that Gemini Man has hit the box office very softly, made about 20 million domestic on a head trending towards $200 million budget.
Oh.
And the main talking point about it is the fact that it's virtually impossible to see this movie as it was intended to be seen, which, Connor, you actually had the privilege of doing in the new kind of 3D high frame rate.
I'm really jealous you
version.
got to see that.
Privilege is an interesting word.
Yeah, well,
It gave me a certain perspective of this film that you're right. No one else is really getting, which is that I appreciated the ambition of going forward and doing this.
But also you saw it presented in a unique way that the director intended that's different from most cinema sessions that you'll go to, which makes it at least interesting and different.
That's what I mean, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't normally like 3D, but this was, like I said, I appreciated the ambition of it.
And from what I understand, there is nothing in this movie that is more of a hook than the technology going on. Like, it's not like this movie is really quite good, but the 3D was a distracting, horrible thing about it.
The movie is the problem that the movie has, and this is kind of what I see with all the reviews as well, is that it doesn't really, apart from the technology, doesn't really do anything new.
Yeah, well, I've heard it described continually as like a 1998 blockbuster.
Yeah.
Right down to Will Smith and Clive Owen.
Which
That's
in and of
right
itself
up my alley.
Which is in and of itself is not a terrible thing.
But it is when you're 20 years too late.
Yeah, well, and
fuck, I want to see
but
this
more
movie so
importantly,
bad.
it purports itself to not be that. So it's kind of a bit.
This is the future of filmmaking 20 years ago.
I have to see this movie.
Well,
let's go.
We do need to go pump up the numbers for it because Joker continued at number 1. Addams Family took number 2 at exceeding expectations at 30 million. And then Gemini Man trailed far behind that. So yeah, it's just a really misguided, I think, attempt at releasing a film when there's so much hype about the technology behind it, but then it's so inaccessible. I wouldn't even.
True.
Yeah, I wouldn't know where to go to watch it like that, and I actually don't know how much I'd want to. I almost wanted to see it as like a regular movie to have like a different perspective than you.
Yeah.
To watch it just as a movie like that, especially since I hate the high frame rate stuff.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen the high frame rate stuff. Oh, I mean, I've seen the smooth mo, whatever the fuck it's called, at the TV store, but
yeah, I
nothing
don't
more than
recommend high frame rate. It might just be one of those things that we'll get used to in a couple of years. But I don't remember.
It's one of those norms or paradigms that is going to be nigh on impossible to shake.
So if you look at, for example, now if you look like an old VHS, and then you also look at like a digital release of the same movie, it is like night and day. Like the quality of that is just ridiculous. But it never felt weird to watch the good quality thing. Whereas
It's still
this, it
24
looks
frames.
weird
Yeah,
to see.
just kind of getting better
high frame
resolution.
rate.
and
Yeah.
The sound quality. Oh,
Anyways.
well.
Gemini Man, film of the year,
Keep it up, Ang Lee.
coming for you.
And finally, Disney has released a 3.5 hour long trailer for Disney Plus, kind of outlining everything that's going to be on there at launch day. And it is a wide range of kind of various Marvel movies that'll be there day one, just little animated shows from across the decades, a bunch of Disney classics from The Vault, ranging from, 37, was it? Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, through a whole bunch of picks there. A few Fox things here and there, Simpsons, of course, the whole run. You guys see any picks that really stood out to you?
Dude, I've just got to say, I have never scrolled on a blog more than in my fucking life than this. It just kept going.
Yeah.
The
It's
titles
it's
kept
over
going
1,000
and
properties.
going
Oh,
and
man.
going.
It's silly.
I kind of just went just like vroom and see what it lands on.
Yeah.
And X-Men, the animated series, the 90s one. I'm
Oh.
really keen to give that a revisit.
I've heard it does not hold up at all.
Okay. At least the first minute and a half.
The theme song is
The theme
amazing. I in the similar vein, Gargoyles, the kind of
yeah.
Disney
Yes.
afternoon show. That's a great one.
So there's no, I guess, clarification because the original trilogy for Star Wars is on there.
Yes,
I have not seen any clarification as to what version that original.
It must be the current
trilogy.
version. Otherwise, they would be promoting it like crazy, I reckon.
And we have confirmation on the whole suite of Star Wars coming to the platform. We've got A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, The Clone Wars, the animated one,
Mm-hmm.
The Force Awakens, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. And we've got the Clone Wars animated series. We've got Rebels, all seasons, a bunch of other stuff, pretty much getting the whole suite other
There's
than
not an awful lot that stands
Last
out
Jedi.
as not being there,
Yeah.
to be honest. Which makes me like it's really interesting that Disney is going.
so aggressive.
Well, they're missing a lot of MCU actually.
Oh, are they really?
There's only one Phase 3 movie for sure. That's Captain Marvel, I believe.
Okay.
And just a bunch of kind of random ones not included yet. I think they're going to be rolling out over the
Yeah,
months.
perhaps. Yeah, I would have figured that they would have had it more as a like, on off. Like sometimes you'll get some of these, sometimes you'll
Yeah.
get some of those. Like they'll kind of really
It's going
pick
to be
and
very
choose
interesting to
what
find
they
that
give.
out.
The other thing that I'm really interested is to see if Australia gets the same lineup as the US, because the US gets this 12th of November.
Yeah.
Do you know what's the Aussie date?
19?
19th.
A
something like that?
week after.
Is it going to be the same lineup?
Mm.
I'm very interested in because our Netflix is drastically different because of the licensing.
Very. I would assume, and this is purely conjecture, that they have done a lot of work in reconciling all of this so that they can release it all the same everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, the global release would sort of be in line with that thought.
Yeah. I mean, if we get something that's like a third or a half of what's just been announced there, that would be a pretty big kick to this service.
Worth mentioning that Pixar, a lot of the Pixar,
Well, they're one of the main channels,
yeah.
as it
On the
were.
5.
that's right. Yeah, good point.
I got to say, this is totally awesome. It's a little overwhelming in a
Mhm.
way because I think what
What are you going to
Jesus
chuck on day
Christ,
one?
I already I already get freaked out by how many things I don't watch. This is only going to elevate.
But I think a lot
the
of this-
Mandalorian.
Mm.
The Mandalorian, I cannot wait for that shit.
Mm.
And they're releasing an episode a week. So we're gonna have
Very
to
cool.
we're gonna have to do a little review
Okay.
or something like that every week to
Okay,
keep up to
George.
date.
I'm with you, man.
I'm
I'm with you.
I'm gonna force you.
Shall we move on?
We got rid of George's Star Wars corner, so you got to.
You wanted to get rid of that.
Yeah, I was watching you die a little bit more every single week.
Yeah, for
And
about
that,
a 3
that
or
affected
5
me,
month. Yeah.
let alone how it affected you.
And now I'm not even a Star Wars guy anymore, man. What the fuck happened?
What time is it, George?
It's trailer time.
Yeah.
Trailer time. All right, so let's get into this. This was a tough week, I'll be honest. These were there were a lot of really big trailers that dropped, and a lot of, I was about to say mixed reactions. I'm not sure if it's mixed.
No.
First on our list is Dolittle, which is the Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Dolittle remake.
So up until this point, up until this trailer released, I believe it was titled The Voyage of Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah. So they did a last minute name change.
Making it sound like a gritty reboot.
Yeah. I don't know who this is marketed towards specifically.
Everyone.
The tone in this trailer is so bizarre.
It's really weird.
Kind of melancholy and whimsical.
Yeah, and the music in it, I actually really enjoyed. I've got to say, this is a really
sad, slow cover.
Man, look,
it worked on you, motherfucker.
I know, and this is the thing. Just because it is,
you sold out.
Just because it's like a trope doesn't mean it doesn't work.
No, I completely.
If anything,
agree.
that means it probably does work.
Yeah, exactly right. Like it's doing something right. So, look, the music and the way that this was kind of cut together, it kind of touched on my sensibilities. But
Oh my God.
this movie in general
You okay?
looks like, yeah, I'm struggling. This movie, it confuses me.
Spoiler alert, these first 3 trailers, I couldn't have felt more empty, cold, and vacuous inside. I was just
Oddly enough,
I was glazing.
I'll include the 4th one in that as well.
Glazing the fuck over. Honestly, Dolittle, I'm just like, I feel like I've been shat at by the industry, or I'm jaded or whatever, but there was nothing about this. You didn't even tap into Downey Jr.'s personality.
His weird Welsh accent.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, what accent was that?
Is it Welsh?
I think that's what he's going for.
I thought it was, at one point I thought it was
didn't
Scottish almost.
Oh, man.
But is he? Yeah, I didn't feel like he's.
This is the man who gets $100 million for a movie and just could do whatever he wants.
Do you think he's being utilized in that trailer?
Not in the trailer, no.
No,
I did
he's
not
got like 3 lines. There's really nothing to it.
So there's a lot of behind the scenes word that this movie was an absolute nightmare, that the director was a bit of a loose unit and didn't know what he was doing for a movie of this scale with this many kind of effects going on at once.
I love it.
Apparently Jonathan Liebesman, director of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot more recently.
The South African guy?
Yeah, apparently he came in to do uncredited reshoots for a lot of this movie.
Right.
And yeah, everything
That comes across in the trailer.
Totally. I mean, it looks like they didn't have much to put together, really. I think everything is priming this to be a terrible bomb. Not the least of which the fact that they've delayed it 9 months or so from a prime release into January, which is a dumping ground.
I feel like this reminds me a bit of Oz the Great and the Powerful. It's got that green screen, like a big adventure, crazy environments. But just hollow.
I was shocked to find out this wasn't a Disney movie when I actually looked it up,
same.
because I was like,
It's not.
Robert Downey Jr.
It's not a Disney movie.
I was like, did John Favreau know? No, it's Universal.
Yeah.
What?
How weird is that?
Like Tom
Even
Holland's,
when the logo comes up.
Yeah, it's like, all I see is Disney.
Fuck.
Like, I'm like, this
Are you
isn't the
serious?
Jungle
This
Book.
isn't Disney.
Nah.
What the fuck? That is insane. They have done an amazing job. If their mission was to give it that Disney feeling, they've done a good job there.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Bullshit Disney feeling, but
Yeah.
a feeling.
That's it.
Nonetheless.
Yeah.
This I think will be a hot mess. And I do have a question though. Who is really a fan of that Alice in Wonderland series?
Yeah, because it made a lot of money. It smashed $1 billion.
But the second one
No one
didn't.
seems to like it. And the second one was a
didn't.
massive bomb.
That's
yeah.
exactly what I'm trying to figure out. Because it
that
made
first
money.
one-
People keep referencing it as in like this thing, but I've never met someone who was like, "Oh, that was fucking awesome."
That first one, the 2010 one, Tim Burton, that was 3D. 3D Avatar just made
also Johnny
2.8
Depp
billion
at the height of his
Yes.
wackiness.
before all the stuff came out. So it was like a perfect storm there. We're in a different realm now.
Yeah,
And,
that movie. This movie. I have a weird inclination to see it.
I feel like there's a version of this I wouldn't hate if the animals didn't talk. Like if he could communicate with them, but they didn't actually talk on screen. Like I don't want to sit there seeing John Cena and Rami Malek coming out of Gorilla and a polar bear. Like, no, thank you.
The final word I'll say on this is is at a point in this trailer I thought I am dreading our review.
I was about to say I can't
I
wait to
am
review.
dreading this experience.
What? Yeah. Okay. What you were feeling right now, I felt for our third trailer. Like I could not express how hollow I felt.
Stay
And
tuned.
that is a Disney one. All right, next we have Pixar's Onward. Not nearly as bad. I think that out of all of them, this probably entices me the most.
Trailer of the week, baby.
Yeah. Woo.
What a low bar.
Some interesting concepts. The voice acting is really distracting. I felt uncomfortable with it, actually.
I liked it more than the last trailer. I liked everything about this more than the last trailer, actually.
There wasn't much to the last trailer.
Exactly. They actually kind of gave some shape to the plot in this one. It's a road movie with these two brothers and their half-father.
Yeah, what's the...
Weekend at Bernie
I think
style.
I missed the beginning of the story. So they're bringing their father back to life
For 24
For one
hours.
day, yeah.
for 24 hours.
So that's
Okay.
the whole thing. So they obviously got halfway through this spell and their dad's only there halfway. And the whole point of it is that they can only bring him back for 24 hours.
I actually quite like this trailer, but I am willing to put that 100% to the fact that they played Hocus Pocus by Focus, which is one of my favorite songs that I feel like I've mentioned several times on the show. But
I just like listening to you say Hocus Pocus by Focus.
It's great. It's from the album Focus. And I just think that really you can put any footage to that and it's just so much fun. George felt differently.
You know what? This reminded me of a little bitchy version of Full Metal Alchemist. You know, Full Metal Alchemist, they try and bring family members back, and it gets so dark, man. Like this one, it's like, hey, we're gonna bring
Is that
out
what
death.
you want from this?
I'm like,
Wait,
no,
what?
don't go in this
Is that your
direction.
criticism?
This is a terrible way to go.
Wait,
I just think I just was so not into
But
that.
then they're not going to half-ass it. Like, this is Pixar. They are going to tug the heartstrings. Like, you guys didn't see Coco, I think?
No, I didn't.
But that dealt with a lot of themes of
I
death, and that
love
was an
Coco,
absolute
yeah.
gut punch. And then you...
I hope so. I hope so.
Man, and I think that's absolutely
you
what they're
take
going to
your
do in
Full
this.
Metal Alchemist and you watch Coco and you tell me how you feel.
Yeah, like, you think...
I just didn't get that indication. I'm not saying Pixar are not capable of it,
Totally.
but in this trailer,
I
it did
think-
not lead me to believe they're going down that path.
For me, the Pixar name still holds enough weight to it that I feel like there's more to this film than the trailer has let on. And I have never really been sold on the trailers for Pixar films. But the actual films, more often than not, are winners.
That's a
in
good
my
point,
eyes.
actually,
Yeah.
because you can't really capture what's great about Pixar in a trailer, which is
Exactly.
the emotional kind of through line of these movies.
Exactly, right? So I think that for me, at least, I have faith in Pixar. They have stumbled in with some entries in the last recent years, but Coco, what was the one before Coco?
Inside Out, I absolutely adored.
Inside
The Good
Out.
Dinosaur. I think
Good
we're the only
Good
two
Dinosaur,
people who
yeah.
actually like that one.
I actually really liked Good Dinosaur.
Give that one a go if you haven't seen it, because that was their one and only bomb, and I think it's well worth watching.
I mean, it's definitely worth watching. So yeah, I think that this coasts by on the name of Pixar, and I will reserve judgment until I have seen. Like I just put Pixar on anything, I will watch it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Also,
I agree with
Pixar, go
that.
back to using less famous people for your voice actors.
Yeah, and that's what I meant by like it was distracting. Genuinely was, because
But is this a cool
not
world?
as much.
This is an interesting world. Like,
I mean,
hey,
Bright
it's the
being a
magic
blockbuster
world,
seemed to think so.
but it's also 2019,
Well,
and
it's just-
Mom's doing.
There's no need to be like that.
I'm
cynical
sorry.
about it.
I'm very cynical
I really
about
dug
this.
the unicorn
I'm
being
very
raccoon bit.
cynical
I love
about
that.
this one.
I thought it was so
Mate,
funny.
this is more original than half the stuff that's coming out now. I think that even a minor attempt at creating something or making some kind of interesting world needs to be applauded.
I hope so, man. I really hope so.
We'll see. We'll see.
Right now, I just.
I think you're just feeling very cynical.
Onwards.
Onwards, yes.
It's me vomiting. on this
If you want to be
movie.
single, if you want to be cynical, this is genuinely the spot to do it. We have Jungle Cruise with The Rock and
Emily Blunt.
Emily
Can I
Blunt.
just jump right in here, please?
Sure.
'Cause I'm going to blame all of you out there for this goddamn movie. Every one of you. Because all of the past 2 years, everyone's been saying how goddamn great The Mummy is. So now Disney's just remaking it for this. It's not that great. It was fine at the time and it's fine now. I saw a video on YouTube today. I just saw the thumbnail. It was like The Mummy, a cinematic masterpiece. And I'm like, man, the reappraisal of this film has gone too
You
far.
mean the Tom Cruise
gone
one?
too far?
No,
the
no.
Brendan Fraser one.
And how dare you, sir? That is a cinematic
Oh,
masterpiece.
God damn it.
Come on.
So now that they've just taken that and Pirates of the Caribbean and
Yeah.
smashed them together.
So that this
makes
this
me angry.
is more, I think, like
Makes me so
a
angry.
mixture of haunted house and oh god, something else.
So yeah, it is based, of course, on a Disney ride,
Yeah.
like a few of those films.
But I mean, the Pirates of the Caribbean had it was a good film.
It's great, yeah, absolutely.
It's a fantastic film,
Yeah.
and you know,
We're in a different era now, man.
yeah, fuck.
Okay, a couple things. I was going to say, I think The Rock has gassed out.
I'm over it.
Yeah,
Hobbs and Shaw.
Did well.
And first thing to note, that movie was 136 minutes long.
Yes,
I want
I
that
remember.
time back,
I remember.
Rocky.
I want at least 40 minutes of that back.
And on a $200 million budget, it made $758.6
Yeah, it did really well.
million. That's,
It did really
that's
well.
a good haul.
No,
so,
look, he's
he is
very
not
successful.
gassing out. He is not gassing
He's
out.
very successful. I'm gassing out. I'm done.
He's getting into that Mark Strong territory for me. He's
Jesus.
becoming overexposed.
Another famous bald man. Just not good.
Can I ask a quick question though?
No.
Fair call. I'll ask a long question then. Is this produced by Jerry Bruckheimer?
Let's use the
Can you look it
power
up?
of
Because-
the internet.
Straight away, this movie just made me like, because it looks like a theme park ride,
Mm.
which made me think Jerry Bruckheimer.
Feels like it's very swashbuckling.
Yeah.
It looks like it was directed by Gore Verbinski, which it was
Yeah.
not.
Who is the director by?
It was directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, who has a very interesting CV. So he did one you might know, George, Orphan, that
Oh,
kind
I
of
love the
thriller
Orphan.
horror one.
Spanish one?
Right.
Then he decided to only make Liam Neeson movies. For the next decade, he made Unknown, Nonstop, Run All Night, and The Commuter, which I think is the same 4 movies in a row.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Well done,
or the same
sir.
one movie 4 times. And he also made The Shallows, which I really liked with Blake Lively, the
But I
shark
hope he
movie.
made a lot of money and bought a really nice house. And just
Yeah,
was
and
like,
lives with
I
Liam
made
Neeson.
4 Yeah. Like, well done, sir. You live your life. So, produced by Dwayne Johnson, of course.
course.
This is Jungle Cruise. And not...
no Jerry Bruckheimer to be seen?
No.
So you're telling me that Gore Verbinski and Jerry Bruckheimer did not have anything to do with this film? You
Yes,
sir are
sir.
a liar.
It is a Disney
Yes,
movie,
sir.
though. Also, I think it's the biggest set ever made.
And 5 screenwriters.
That's always a good sign.
Always.
This movie looks devoid of anything that would make it.
How do you need 5 people to remake Pirates of the Caribbean? Anyway,
Okay, here's my question, Martin Scorsese. How is this not on your fucking radar?
Yes.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying.
Martin.
How are you going after the MCU when you have this prime cut of fucking meat here
Yes.
for you to just gorge yourself
Exactly.
Why does Rocky making jungle movies? He's got 2 movies called Welcome to the Jungle. He's got Mysterious Island 2, whatever that is. He's got this
Center
Jungle
of the
Cruise.
Earth or
I like
whatever,
the
yeah.
font at the end of the trailer, actually.
No,
The
you
jungle.
don't.
I liked
No, you
it.
don't.
Yeah.
This
It's
film
kind of classic.
feels so self-serving and just devoid of any real. To coin a phrase from or to borrow a phrase from Martin Scorsese, so devoid of like narrative ness.
Will this be the Men in Black International of next year?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
We've got 3 horrible
will.
films. Horrible films.
No, Onward is not going to be a horrible film.
Let's see. I hope it's horrible. Just so
If
I
you
can
want-
be right.
Yeah.
More than anything. I'll be less happy, but I'll be right.
Number 4, we have this one. I think was the second worst.
This is my favorite of the week.
Charlie's Angels.
Just straight from the get-go, the very first 5 seconds of this trailer was Patrick Stewart, I think, was saying, "You're in the presence of angels," and then the song was like, "Don't call me angels." I'm like, that's some mixed messaging right there. Like, what does it try to be?
Yeah. And
It looked
it did that little pre-trailer trailer.
Yeah, of course.
It
Where
looked
it's
like
like
Stewart-
sexy girls. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my God, here we go.
Looks like Stewart was like checking out. He's like, I don't want to be in this film.
He is quite old. I
I
imagine he is
honestly
checking
thought
out.
he had the same makeup as he did in X3. He looks so much smoother. Anyway, what did I like about this? Elizabeth Banks' name pops up about 4 times in a
All right,
font.
I like Elizabeth
And I
Banks.
found that entertaining. So
I
I
like
got
it-
some
alright,
more
right.
value out of this trailer than the other 3.
I like Elizabeth Banks. I like that she wrote it and
She's the
produced
director.
it, directed it. Yeah, whatever.
Produced it.
Fucking whatever she did. I think that's interesting. That's cool because I like her sensibilities. The rest of this just seems completely devoid. Like this seems like a property that they just got by remaking it in what was it, the early 2000s?
90s, yeah.
That felt like they just, all right, this is probably not a movie for this era, but we'll just slide it in, and it was a fun little piece. This feels like they are 10 years too late to that cutoff.
Didn't you used to watch Totally Spies, right? Fucking ditch this shit and make that.
That's what this looks like.
But you can do it way better than this.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see this movie because I just feel like there's no way it can be as bad as it looks.
Listen, it's better. It's better than the other three.
Looks
it's
so
better
bland.
than the other three.
What?
It's
Are you
better-
no, sorry. Are you insane?
It looks better than Dolittle, Onward, and Jungle Cruise off these trailers of this week, of this date, at this period of time.
Oh,
that's
snap.
where I'm sitting.
Can we,
Now-
can
now we
we
have to
make
watch all
a
of these
note
movies.
of like the time
Please
and the
do.
date or something?
I would
Can we
love
can we
that.
even do like a steak sandwich or a steak bet? I want you.
I want a steak sandwich so
Yeah.
bad. I'm so hungry.
I'm gonna. Once we have seen all 4 of these films, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to ask your honest opinion as to which is better.
Just check that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
First one. Step 1. Step 2, then you can ask me.
I will almost guarantee you that Charlie's Angels doesn't come out on top of these 3. The other 3.
This comes out these all come out 2020, right? So
I think so.
we will get a best and worst of the year, and
Yeah. I
everything
will
will fall
buy
into
you a
place.
steak if Charlie's Angels is your favorite out of those 4.
Okay.
That's an easy
reckon,
steak to win.
well, no, because I reckon
It is my favorite.
I reckon that
Success.
you won't even be able to like half-ass lie
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
Let's,
There's no way that
let's
comes
update
out
the
on
doc. Update the Google Doc.
Doing it
Okay.
right now.
My God.
Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels.
Trailer
will not
of the
be-
week.
Yeah. You-
Well done, Elizabeth
such a
Banks.
piece.
You did a thing.
Mm.
And we got a 5th trailer.
It's like we're arguing over last place here. It's such a pointless. All right, trailer number 5. We've got Rattlesnake, a little Netflix
original
film.
of the week. Yeah.
Netflix. God, there's like 3 or 4 trailers coming out a week. They are just pumping out content
Mm-hmm.
like
Pump it.
no tomorrow.
Pump it up. The horror is of very varying degrees of success,
Mhm.
I find, and I have not too much confidence in this. I
Oh,
thought
no.
the initial setup, where it was more of a remote, isolated event, was really interesting, and then it just kind of opened up and got really wild and crazy.
And looked a bit silly.
Looked a bit
that
silly
movie we
and
saw
looked a bit-
earlier this year, The Wind. Very contained, very effective. Like you can do something like that in this kind of scenario.
Mm.
I would much prefer that kind of film. I would say.
Yeah, I was reading an interesting thing today about how someone was positing that Netflix has completely, because that they've essentially steamrolled like the straight to DVD market, that kind of trash film, that they're essentially filling that void with that exact quality of film, just that direct to video, trashy,
Cheaply made, like
cheap,
quick.
nothing interesting, nothing you remember ever. I'm like, yeah, that kind of
But
is what a lot
they
of
do
it
have
is.
a lot of. I think that's. They have a lot of gems in there.
Yeah, but I don't think this is one of them.
No, this is probably not one of them. When does Irishman come out on Netflix?
In the near future,
a
right?
month away, I think.
Yeah, roughly.
November.
Mm.
Yeah, roughly. Not much else to talk
Coming out of
about
cinemas first.
on that Rattlesnake one. Yeah, it's true.
Because it's a narrative film. That's why.
It's
Yeah.
a narrative film,
It's a
yeah.
Do you reckon that
narrative
like
with a
Martin
cartoon.
Scorsese made those comments and then it was like, shit,
Yeah.
get me into a cinema somewhere.
Yeah. Alrighty. Everyone done with Rattlesnake? 'Cause I
Yeah.
certainly am.
Very done with that one forever.
Question of the week. I've got a little bit of a crazy one.
Uh-oh.
We're 2 months out from Rise of Skywalker,
Mhm.
and we should be getting a trailer next week. That's what everyone's saying. Just wanting a little bit of a check-in. Where's everyone sitting pre-trailer on Rise of Skywalker?
I have...
Okay, and also that in 2 months you are going to see Darth Sidious. we're going to see him on screen, and there's going to be a story about it, and it's going to be integrated, and we're going to know all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is an interesting. I think that has been an interesting part of this whole episode 7, 8, and 9.
So
How that's all unfolded.
I'll jump.
Please.
I am the
Please.
least excited.
Fuck, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you hate my question.
I'm the least excited for this film that I have been for any Star Wars film, I think.
Even Solo?
Solo, I was kind of morbidly fascinated about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm right on the same page with you in my entire lifetime. Oh, except for Clone Wars,
Yep.
that film.
Yeah, that is an interesting point. I am more excited for this than Solo, but
we
I'm
talked
less
about-
excited than Rogue One.
we talked about Solo for like a year straight. Like that was so much build up to that film. So bad or good, like that film I was interested to see.
I buy your point. But I was almost waiting for a train wreck, and in this one, I'm not necessarily waiting for a train wreck. I'm like, can they pull it off?
Mm.
Can JJ do this?
See, maybe I'm actually more interested in this than Rogue One because I wasn't waiting for a train wreck. In this one, I might be waiting for a train wreck.
Like, do you think this is on the cards to be one of the worst Star Wars films out?
I have no
No.
faith in J.J. Abrams nor in the creative vision behind the trilogy as a whole. And I think this movie, regardless of whether it's the best or the worst of the three, will cop everything of the cumulative effect of all three movies.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, like however they wrap this up, it's going to have to own it on its own. Because, Last Jedi, whatever, that caps a lot of crap for all the stuff. But that movie being the middle of a trilogy can throw all the shit it wants out. How this resolves it is going to be a big deal.
Well, I mean, the first one threw enough shit out as well.
Mm.
And then, Knights of Ren, mentioned in 7, probably should have been in 8. Director chooses not to put it in 8. And then episode 9, the Knights of Ren, they're pushing the Knights of Ren really hard. So you can really see how there wasn't, I think you have a great point there, Benny, the overall vision of the trilogy.
Which, ironically, is something that I was really weirded out about right from the beginning when we had this different, like this kind of episode 7 was going to be J.J. Abrams. 8 was going to be someone else.
Ryan
9 was
Johnson,
going to be
and then
someone
Colin
else.
Trevorrow.
Yeah, that's right. That was the original lineup. And that, right from the get-go, weirded me the fuck out because I was like, where's the continuity? Where's the overall storyline? And I absolutely refused to believe that the things that JJ was putting out in the first of his trilogy were didn't have some thought behind it. I could not believe that he was putting out little just mystery boxes for no apparent reason. I was like, surely they know how this is going to wrap up, right? And it doesn't seem as though that has really been the case. And that, to me, is mind-boggling. Like, actually mind-boggling.
It's funny, like it's almost, talking about it now, this has never really occurred to me before, but it's almost very similar to the DC Directors Universe, where you kind of go, Kathleen Kennedy's kind of gone, JJ, make your thing, do what you want. Ryan, write the script, direct it, do whatever you want. And there's almost a bit of a problem with that. There's almost a bit of a problem if you don't have that core structure of a bunch of producers saying, hey, listen, we've got a full arc to tell here. We need to wind this back. We need to make sure Knights of Ren are here. We need to do this. We need to do that. That's where Feige, it's important. It's important in these big blockbuster films of ongoing series. It's like George Lucas in the original trilogy. He didn't direct the second two. He was heavily involved as a producer. So they were almost his films by extension.
I think in execution, the prequel trilogy is a disaster. But from a story point of view, on the main point, or like the main, beats, I really like. I like the idea of it. I like the overall plot of it.
And it sticks to its guns.
And it sticks to its guns. It has a continuity around it. Again, whether the actual execution at the end of the day was properly done is a discussion.
And the only reaction from that was really Jar Jar being revoked more from 2 and 3. Otherwise, I am would say I'm very confident that George Lucas pretty much stayed to what he planned. with
Speaking
those.
of like alternative film universes, I would love to see the one where the sequel trilogy had Lucas's guiding hand behind it with Disney. He was not writing or directing, but he was there helping with ideas and stuff, because I feel like he probably had something more well thought out than what we got.
The Wills, there was going to be a lot more of the Wills,
Mm.
and there was going to be a lot more supposedly on midichlorians.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never been bothered by midichlorians. Come at me.
Yeah.
It's all just mumbo jumbo, whatever.
Yeah. So, hey, we should have a trailer next week, and we'll probably be able to delve a little bit deeper in where we're all sitting.
I mean, I know what I'll say when the trailer comes out. I can tell you now, it's gonna look amazing. I'm gonna get really hyped up again. You know, I'll fall in line with this film.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. As soon as you see the Knights of Ren, and as soon as you see like the what was it, Empire or something, like release photos recently, I got hyped up with the photos because they looked fucking awesome. This movie will, at least from a hype point of view, will do its job in terms of how it looks.
Yep.
So,
Guys, tune in next week. We should be talking about that trailer. Fingers crossed. We've had trailers delayed before. So, hey, if we're not talking about that, we're going to be talking about some other awesome shit. Go check out our El Camino review. We've also going to be talking about In the Tall Grass there. A little bit of a Netflix double feature. Hit that subscribe button. We'll be back next week. It's been a pleasure, Connor.
see ya.
It's been a pleasure, Benny.
Bye, everyone.
See you later, guys. I think he just pitched it to Chris Nolan in one of the first early meetings. And he was too scared of Christian Bale.
That's
I'll go for you. He's too scared of him to ever say, Christian,
You sound like an
might
idiot.
we change the voice?
Fucking terrified of him. Oh, not today, motherfucker! Not today! Georgie, you alright?
Welcome to the Matrix.
All right, shall we do this?
Let's hit it up. Fucking do it. Ready for it?
Ready.
Oh. Boom, boom, boom.
Sorry, go on. You're so
All right,
late.
we're gonna hit it.